Hello, Mavericks. This is Rob Reinhold. Let's get into today's market analysis. All right, we are literally one day ahead of a Fed meeting, so you would think it would be pretty dead, and we actually had a little bit more weakness than expected. S&P down 1.1%, the World Index, the VT, down 1.2%. Cryptos, they got crushed yesterday, and there was no buying to come into the market today, down 2.3%. Most of this weakness was due to Walmart and Microsoft. These are huge companies, and they came out and just really had lousy numbers, especially Walmart. So Walmart took a big dip, and you can see Microsoft took a big dip as well. This really carried through all day long, and the markets never were able to bounce anywhere. We also had an intraday reversal in oil. Oil at one point was up about 2.5%, 3%, and by the end of the day, it was actually down on the day. So we saw the CAD get back a little of its gains that it had put in early in the day. So let's check out the charts here. So here we are. The S&P is up above the 50 moving average and the 20 moving average on a daily chart. Now this is our line in the sand at Maverick of whether something is a bullish market or a bearish market. And you can see the 50 period moving average right here. We are literally sitting on it. So there's really no way to call where markets are going right now. We were clearly in a downtrend for the last couple months. Right here, right now, I think it's a question mark. I don't think you can make any sort of call based on technical analysis. If I had to make a call, if someone had a gun to my head, it would have to be bullish. But here's a great thing. You don't have to do anything in trading. You can sit on your hands and wait. We are literally 24 hours before a Fed meeting. If we take a look at the VT, you can see the VT also weak, and we have not come back above those moving averages. So the world indexes are still in a bear market, and most of this is Europe. Europe is really getting hit. We saw the euro go down 0.8% today. European stocks have really underperformed the rest of the world. And if we take a look at cryptos just don't want to go up. They had that brief little moment, but you can see we're right back down at the lows. This thing is likely breaking lower, so cryptos are a sell all day long. So when we take a look at the equity market, we have to be at a +1. I really want to be at a 0, but our scoring rules are, is it above the 20 moving average on the daily chart? The answer is yes. So that is a +1. Is it above the 50-day moving average? No, it's not. Is it below? No, it's not. It's on it. That's a 0. And the slope of the 20, 50 moving averages, they're both sloping sideways. So on a score, it's a +1. I would love to be at a 0, but look, that's really where we are right here, right now. So equities are not giving any indication of where things are going. And that is really a big driving force behind the currencies market. So let's take a look at our weekly calendar here. And you can see tomorrow we have the FOMC. Now that is the big news of the week. We did a preview video on it of what we expect to happen. I would suggest that you all go and watch that to get ready for that FOMC statement. Me personally, I'm going into this looking to be a second stage entry. What I mean by that is I'm not going to play the initial move. I'm going to let things settle out and see where the direction is. Most likely 45 minutes to an hour after, because we do have the press conference at 2:30. I want to get through all of those things, and I want to see the direction of the equities. I want to see direction of the dollar before I really make any sort of move. We are going to get advanced GDP. Typically, this is a big number, but the fact that we just heard from the Fed the day before, I don't think on Thursday it really matters. And then same thing with the core price index. We're just not going to care about that because all of those numbers were to give us an indication of what the Fed was going to do in the future. We literally just heard from the Fed, and so I don't think those numbers are just all that important this week. So let's jump into our currency analysis, and let's take a look at these one by one. Now yesterday when Ankit did the end of day, this is where we ended up. A lot of stuff in the middle. Whenever there's a lot of stuff in the middle, it's telling you markets are consolidating. They're not expanding and trending, they're consolidating. And we talked about Aussie and CAD showing some relative outperformance, Swiss franc and yen showing some relative underperformance, but really everything else in the middle. And if we take a look at the moves today, we saw the moves in cryptocurrencies were down about 2% across the board. Now, the cryptos got killed yesterday, and when something gets killed and there's no buy the dip mentality, it's a good sign that it wants to go lower. I think cryptos are calling out that they are going lower at this point. So no longs in cryptos. We like cryptos short if you can do it. In the foreign currencies, We had the Swiss franc at a -2. You can see it did much better today. That's the biggest upgrade we're going to have today, Swiss franc from -2 to a +2. You can see that the trading today was tough. Look at the moves in yen, in CAD, in Aussie. It's almost nothing. Dollar up a little bit, Kiwi down a little bit. Look, there was not a lot of opportunity to make money over the last 24 hours. And I hate to break it to you, I don't think there's a lot of money to be made over the next 16 hours until we get to the FOMC meeting. So here was our board before. Let's take a look at where they are now. Let's start off with Bitcoin dollar. You can see nothing but selling here over the last couple of days. It looks like we have reached a short-term bottom. We have RSI that dipped below 30 and rebounded. We've got some nice candles here. Look, this is probably going to have a bounce, possibly even a bounce up to this 21.7 area. Might be the best it can get to, but I think you want to be a seller up until that point. I think the next major move in cryptos are down. So here's Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, really the same thing. Looks like we've had a little bit of bottoming action, a likely bounce. I mean, where's it going to bounce up to? This 122 area. It's just not enough meat on the bone to get me excited. Ethereum, same thing. We had a big move down over the last couple of days. We have bottomed. We have a nice reversal candle here. So, okay, this thing bounces up to, let's call it 1470. That's nothing. That's 50, 60 points. It's not worth going after this with the volatility we're seeing in these. And if we finish off with Litecoin, you're going to see it's the same story. Litecoin maybe bounces up to 55, best case scenario, before it hits some resistance. So the cryptos overall are all at like a -2. So let's take a look at the foreign currencies to see if we can find anything that's worth trading here. Start off first with the dollar. Now this is the dollar on the 4-hour chart. I want you to take a look at the range from July 20th all the way up to present. There has not been much movement whatsoever. Now look, what this is telling us is the dollar is consolidating. It had a pretty big move back in the end of July or the middle of July, from July 14th down to the 20th was a very sizable move. Since then, it's been resting. This is really good price action heading into a major announcement, because you don't want to have something that's exhausted, because a lot of the times when you get the news, it's the old sell on the news, buy the rumor, sell the news. And so I like this dollar going into the FOMC in the fact that it hasn't gone anywhere. So I think it's primed for a move up or down. I have no idea. That's why I'm going to wait and see what happens. But I do think the dollar is ready for a move. But right here, right now, don't trade it. It's lousy. Coming over here to the yen, we've got the EMA that's flat. We've got RSI that's flat. So when things are just flat, just leave it alone. It's not trending. It's just consolidating. If things change and we start to get some steepness to these EMA lines, okay, we can change our outlook. But right here, right now, nothing going on in yen. We come over here to the Swiss franc, and you can see the Swiss franc over the last couple of days, we've had just this move here between 126 down to 125 up to 126. So we're hitting our head right on this resistance. This is again, a mile buy, but unless it breaks out, I really don't even like it on a breakout. I just don't think there's a lot of stuff going on here with Swiss franc. We come over to the euro. That was the weakest currency today, and you can see we had a big fall over the last 24 hours. We're starting to get some bottoming action. That's fine, but I think we can see that it's likely to base here or bounce up to this 123.40. 123.40 would be a great entry for a new short on euro. So for me, the only thing that's looked tradable that we've looked at is euro short, but needing to wait for a bounce. We come over here, take a look at pound. You can see the pound is just meandering along. I don't trade things that are meandering. I've learned that through many, many years that it's just not worth it. I'll come back when the pound wants to do something. Right here, right now, I mean, look at the trading over the last couple of weeks. I mean, there's been one sizable move, and that's really about it. There's just nothing going on here on pound. So if there's nothing going on, go find something that is moving. Up next is the CAD, and the CAD is in the same boat. Flat EMAs, flat RSI. Again, there has to be something to change this. I can't look to trade this now because there's literally no trend. There's nothing going on. There's no velocity. So the CAD is on the shelf. Coming here to Aussie. Okay, now the Aussie is the only thing on the long side that I think looks decent here. We are setting up a high base. We have a rising EMA. We've got flat RSI, but we've got rising parabolic SAR. So this is a good solid +2. And if we can break out, I think it could possibly make a small run. But I want you to take a look at the long upper shadows on these 4 candles. It's kind of telling you that it's going to be a while. We've had a couple of false breakouts and it's sunk right back down. Now they have hold, which is good. But until we get a nice solid green candle and not a give back, I really don't want to look to trade it. If this was any other day ahead of a Fed meeting, I would say, okay, it's worth taking a look at long Aussie. The fact that we're going into a Fed meeting, I just don't think it's worth it to stick your neck out there for just a very small amount of pips. There's not a lot moving here. Last but maybe least is the Kiwi. So we've got flat RSI, we've got a flattish EMA that's, dipping down a little bit, but we're still just in this range between 70 and 70.50. No reason at all to trade anything like this. So let's see how our velocity scoreboard has changed. Swiss franc had the biggest jump, going from -2 to +2. It's okay to buy Swiss franc. I don't think it's great to buy Swiss franc, but if you're just dying to make a trade over the next 16 hours, which I hope none of our traders are in that mode where you think you have to make a trade just because the market's open, I'd rather see you just sit on your hands here. We got cryptos moved lower. They weakened. If you can short cryptos, I think short cryptos is a great play here for the next 24 hours. We had yen move up slightly. We had the euro weaken considerably. And so the euro to me is the only thing that's really tradable here. But I think you've got to wait for a bounce or a bear rally to sell into. And then the CAD has weakened a little bit. And the Kiwi is weakened. So in the end, what we have is we've got weak euro and sort of strong Aussie and Swiss franc. That's it. That's it. That's really all there is to trade. So let's go through the few charts here. But as you can tell, I am most likely on the shelf until the FOMC meeting tomorrow. I don't want to do a lot of trading here in the next few hours. There is no question that my favorite pairing is Euro Aussie. This is my favorite pairing right here, right now. It's of all the currencies, the Euro has the most relative weakness. The Aussie has the most relative strength. The problem is it's not like a raging run. It's the Euro was a big fall, but the Aussie is just like it's staying strong, but it's creeping, trying to get higher. There's really no momentum there. This is mostly a play about short Euro more than long Aussie. And so I think you've got to let Euro bounce. We have 5 solid candles. That's 20 hours of solid selling. Likely get a little bit of a bounce off this. If we can get a bounce up to this 146.50, I think that's a good area to start to look for a potential short here in Euro Aussie. Or if we get a base, I think you can sell the breakdown of the low base. But I think that's going to be in at least 20 hours. And then we're into the Fed meeting. And this shouldn't even be a trade to look at after the Fed meeting. There's going to be much better trades. So ultimately, a rally up to 146.50 I think is a decent entry point. Other than that, just sit on your hands and let's get into the Fed meeting. To wrap this up, equity markets are mixed. All eyes are on the FOMC, so just sit and wait. I don't think there's really any great trading opportunities until then. So take the day off, sit on your hands, go do some yard work, go out on a boat, whatever it is you want to do. Just trading is probably not the right thing over the next 16 hours until the FOMC. We are going to be meeting live tomorrow as a firm for the FOMC meeting. So we're going to start this at 11:30 Mountain Time, which is 1:30 Eastern Time. And then we're going to be watching the price action through the FOMC statement and look for potential trades off of that movement. Thanks for joining me. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.